Hello everybody, my name is Angel. Welcome to Lupus Fitness 333. Today we're going to be talking about today's segment is Philosophical Talks number 17. Now we're going to be discussing the dream. Now again, this is the spiritual side of the training for making ourselves stronger. Again, the motto here is strengthening ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. And this touches spiritual. Okay? So I'm going to start off with saying these three things, okay? Dreams are your mirror, okay? They are the ones that reflect what you are either ignoring, what you're experiencing in life, and how your mind is interpreting it for you to understand. Okay? Sometimes it's also when your subconscious is helping you to get into your next phase of life. Okay? How does that relate to life-altering and life-changing diseases? Sometimes you get a premonition or you get a nightmare. Usually they're in forms of nightmares of what's to come, or they mentally prepare you and spiritually prepare you for what's to come. All right. Now I'm going to explain a dream that I had that's tied to the last video. It's Philosophical Talks number 16. Okay. This dream is going to explore three characters. The first one is a wolf. The second one is a demon knight, and the last one is going to be an octopus. Each one is similar, but they all end differently. And I'm going to do my best to explain what I believe it represented in my life and how it led to the events of me getting a life-altering disease, okay? Or a life-altering condition which led me on the path that I'm on now. Okay? So first was the wolf dream. The wolf dream was basically me in my old childhood home, and I was asleep in the living room, and it was a two-story home, and there was a wolf. The whole house was dark. There was a huge wolf, all right? Like I say, it's double the size of a regular wolf. Right, and it was in the home, and it came to me while I was asleep, and I was afraid. Okay, I was afraid in the dream, and the fear grew stronger and stronger as this wolf got closer and closer to me. Eventually, the wolf bites me, and I feel it drain my life from the bite. It's absorbing my life into itself. And how this dream ends is basically, in my fear, in the height of my fear, I decide that no, I cannot allow this to be my fate. I have to fight back. So I turn my face, because it bit me here, right? I turn my face and I bit it. This is my first encounter with an entity in my dreams that tried to sap my life. Okay? The dream ends with me biting back the wolf and taking back my life force, and injuring the wolf. The second dream is of a demon knight. Now, this happened to be, I was in Mexico at the time. I was visiting family, and what ended up happening was that I was going through a phase in my life that was going to completely alter the way the house or my family home was going to be structured. And at the time, I wasn't completely aware of how that was going to be. But eventually, it showed me that I wasn't prepared for it. Because, once again, in the dream, I was asleep. And then I wake up in the dream on the bed. And because I'm in a family member's house in Mexico, there is a looming doom in the house. And there's rattling chains. And these rattling chains are being moved through the house. Again, it's another two-story home, and there's heavy footsteps walking around in the home until they get to the stairs. Now, I'm on the second floor. And I hear the chains rattling and I hear the steps, the heavy steps going up the stairs. And they're slow, they're deliberate. And the chains slowly follow going up the stairs. And you could hear it, the clink, clink, clink. I can't make the sound effect, but basically you could hear the chains also slithering up the stairs as you hear the heavy footsteps going up. And once again, it's fear. It's fear that's going through me in the dream. And the fear grows and grows as this entity gets closer and closer to the room that I'm in. Eventually, I also decide that I have to fight back. But in this dream, unfortunately, I was not strong enough, nor did I take an action, because I was frozen in fear, even though I stood up. And I had decided mentally to do something in the dream. The knight comes, bursts through the door, and has a huge axe. And it was heavily clad in medieval armor. And it had horns on the side, like this. And what I tried to do is grab its axe. It had a huge axe like this, and it was going to come down on me. And I tried grabbing it, and it was overwhelmingly powerful. I had literally, my efforts were for nothing, because the strength it had, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what I did, because in the dream, in the nightmare, it ended with him cutting me diagonally, but not from the blade. He cut me diagonally from the, what's it called? From the, from the pole of the blade, of the axe. So that's how strong he was. He just basically, he squished me with the pole of the axe. All right, that's one where I didn't survive. The third one, by then I was already a man, and I had already experienced the event of being contracted with the life-altering disease, with lupus, right? But I didn't take it seriously because I didn't know what it was, and I couldn't, for some reason, fathom what it meant, right? So I didn't take it seriously. And I had just had a baby, I had just gotten married, I had been trying to, deal with the situation, but it was completely unfathomable of how difficult it was going to be for me at the time, because I was able to move, but I was so stiff that it was just painful to do anything. Anyways, the nightmare began with me walking in the streets, and again, it's an alleyway that I don't recognize. I don't recognize the neighborhood or anything like that, and it's dark, and there's only one headlight, and it's a walk away from me, but I could see it, and I decide to walk towards it because I am afraid, but the fear was more of like, I don't know where I'm at, and I don't know who's in this alleyway, but I wasn't overwhelmed by fear. It was just like, all right, there's something here, I just gotta be careful. All right, as I continue to walk, it comes out of nowhere, this giant octopus. It was more like the size of my head. It comes and decides to latch onto my neck. Again, in all three dreams, it was my neck somehow it was attacked. With the night, I was chopped on this side, like this, with the wolf here, and the octopus also here. Anyways, octopus latches onto me, and I couldn't do nothing about it. In fact, it was so attached to me because of the suction, the suction on its tentacles, that it held me down. And again, it was the size of my head, so it wasn't a huge octopus, but its beak was like stealing my life energy as well, and stealing it for myself. But the difference between this and the other ones was that it was making me, convulse. later on, my wife said during that night that was happening to me, that I was convulsing in the bed, and it just felt so real in the dream, in the nightmare, that she, again, like I said, she confirmed it. Like, you were convulsing in the bed, and I was afraid for you, and all this stuff. And the nightmare ends with me succumbing to whatever, the fact that it was stealing my life force. Like, I couldn't do nothing. I basically went limp in the nightmare, and I woke up because my wife at the time woke me up from that. Now, how does that relate to what we're talking about? Okay. Basically, spiritually, I was fearful. I was fearful, and the fear was holding me back, and in some ways, it was also detrimenting my life. And eventually, it translated to lack of confidence, and eventually, insecurity, and a fear of death. That those two things ended up following and led to the fear of death, because I was in an uncertain situation with this life-altering condition. And at the time, I was not fixated on being strong or helping people to be strong. At the time, I was stuck with being unable to understand what was happening to me, and I was slowly giving up. Thus, how it translates from the dreams into reality. All three creatures, except for the first one, I had eventually succumbed to it, or I surrendered, or I gave up, because I had no defense against it. And for the first one, there was a scare, but I recovered. And the other two, I couldn't recover completely. And the octopus being the last one, it translated to me having some kind of, again, I had lupus. I gave up to it. I had no way of defending it. So those were the times when I was ignoring my dreams, but I remember them because they were so vivid. And that slowly started waking me up to this means something. I have to pay attention to it. There's no way that they're so powerful like that they're so lifelike, that they mean nothing. And so that is the phase of, how do I say, spiritual awareness. Now, this is a path that you as my audience can take, all right? But it's just a suggestion. If you want to be strong, you have to be strong in all three aspects of yourself: the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. Usually, if you work on two, the other one will follow. But for those of you who want to go down the mental and the spiritual side, or anything revolving the spiritual and you choosing the other one, I recommend this path, where you have to look within to be able to express yourself outwardly or externally, because sometimes a lot of the battles are within you, and most of us nowadays don't really do that. Nowadays we kind of put up this show for people to watch, and in private. And I noticed that a lot of people nowadays don't really like privacy, don't really like being alone. And I believe this is crucial for you to grow as a person. So again, the spiritual side is your inner mirror. The part of you that helps you understand the real you, which will then help you be able to better express yourself and know yourself better in the real world, and helps you confront for the lack of a better word, the weaknesses in your life, because you're looking at yourself through eyes that are non-judgmental and realistic. You understand? Because nowadays we're in this, avoid all negativity and all that. You're not being negative if you look at yourself and you realize there's a part of you that's not completely right, or that there's a lack in that. Again, I always emphasize exposing your weak points so you become stronger, because if you just ignore your weak points, eventually they're going to catch up with you. All right? Just like karma, if you do something and you don't correct it right away or you don't fix it, it'll come back to bite you. So, the practical side is that it helps you see the real you. You get to know who the real you is. And the real you always tells you the truth, whether you like it or not. And they show you through dreams and especially through nightmares. Okay? So again, my name is Angel. This is Lupus Fitness 333. Thank you for watching. Please give this video a like and send this video to whoever you believe will benefit from this. Goodbye.